the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded April 12th, 2011. Episode 38, The Comical Keyzer Comes a-Callin.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
And this is Jeff Keyzer from MightyOhm.com.
Intruder.
Another one. We got another one, Dave.
Hey, guys.
Set up the mousetraps.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Welcome, Jeff.
Awesome. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. And I'd like to point out that this is the first time I've recorded with both Chris and Dave. So this is a pretty big event.
Yes. Well, next...
Sorry, a bit of trumpet heraldry. Oh, God, I can't even say it. Trumpet heraldry.
Got it.
I'm going to get it right.
Nailed it.
Thanks a lot to both of you guys for having me on the show. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah.
It's nice to be had.
I think he's supposed to say that.
And we're using Skype again today, the big Skype experiment. So I can see little flashes on over people's heads when they talk here. It's all quite nice, but hopefully we won't get too many dropouts.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Because normally we use Google Talk, if you're not aware. So, But apparently it's good enough for Skype's good enough for everyone else, so it's good enough for us. And Chris, you're apparently fighting with your new rig, and you're going to attempt to record all of our voices direct from Skype. So if it works, the final recording you'll be listening to now will be a Skype recording. Yeah,
we'll be on Easy Street at that point, but
right.
we might have taken a wrong turn so far, and I'm the navigator. Yeah.
He has no clue what he's doing, and he's the muso.
Yeah. I have complete confidence in Chris.
Eventually.
Right.
I just like to point that out.
Yeah. So, Jeff, we heard about your new thing. I mean, it's timely that you're on here. I mean, in the Amp Hour tradition, we didn't give you any notice for having you on the show, but...
Yeah, it's all right. I think I'm actually getting used to it.
Good. Just kind of set an alarm just in case.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the bat phone or the bat.
There we go.
The spotlight, the searchlight. It's like I hear the calling and I can feel something in the air. I can feel, and I check online, and usually I've got a tweet or an email from Chris, and it says, "Hey, do you want to be on the show?" And
there we go.
There we go.
Third Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm. Or we can get the bat signal with just a big resistor across it, instead of a bat.
Yeah. I'd be into that.
Yeah. There you go. New logo for your website. Yeah. Well, yeah. Tell us about your new project, because that was definitely on our list of things to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
Seems like you're getting some good press about it too.
Yeah, it's spreading quite rapidly. So
like a fungus.
No, I'd like to say like a wildfire, not like a fungus. That's a poor choice of words, I think. But yesterday I released, and I can't really say because I was a fairly small part of this project, but there's a new solder comic that I released in conjunction with Mitch Altman, who invented the TV Be Gone, and I think he's a pretty big fixture in the DIY electronics community.
He is,
and also Andie Nordgren, who did all of our illustrations. So I guess the backstory is that last year Mitch and Andie made a one-page comic about how to solder, and really it wasn't a tutorial, but it was more something that Mitch could use in his workshops, because Mitch gives soldering workshops around the world. He travels to conferences and hacker things and teaches people how to solder. So he wanted a quick reference sheet that he could refer to while he was teaching. Well, so Mitch and I have been writing a book for some time now about how to make cool things with microcontrollers. And so we started talked to Andie about doing a full comic book, basically that teaches people how to solder. And so after months of work and illustrations and, working on it, we basically released it yesterday into the world. And it feels really good. And it's got a huge, the reception has been enormous. Yesterday it was on the Make blog, but today I just noticed that it was on Lifehacker. And of course,
really big.
my website where I'm hosting it is bending or straining to try to handle all the hits that we've got. But just yesterday alone, I think somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 people downloaded it. So wow. It's awesome. It's huge, and I'm really excited. Oh, and I should also say that it's licensed under Creative Commons, and so what we're trying to do is we want people to share this, teach with it, especially translate it, because right now it's in English, and with the original Solder comic, I think it's available in 5 other languages, and so we'd like people to translate this because, speaking English, you can only reach so many people, and we'd really like this to spread around the world. And it's a fun comic, so it's on my website at mightyohm.com. And if you go to the blog, it's right now it's the top post, but we can put a link to the show notes, right? And
absolutely.
Check it out. And, one thing I will say is that anytime you do something like this is really good at bringing out the people that have religious convictions on how to solder.
What?
And so,
wait a second.
That's solder without the L, folks.
Solder.
Solder.
So we've already gotten a little bit of flack from people.
What do you mean by religious
say,
convictions?
Well,
you mean like hardcore technical soldering skill?
All you've got to do is, if you ever write something for total beginners and it's on a topic like which microcontroller is best or how to solder, you will get people that come out of the woodwork that say, no, that's not how you do it. You're supposed to feed the solder this way, or, you should be doing things this way. And we've gotten a little bit of that, but actually I have to say that the response has been overwhelmingly positive. So, you always get 1 or 2 people that say, oh, no, you're doing it wrong. But, my advice to them is, well, make your own comic. There's no reason why there can't be more than one solder comic out there. So, but I've got to say that the response has been really, really good so far, so I'm really happy with it.
I have to say
I've seen it, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's
great. Is it just the Solder comic, or is it the full book has been?
The book itself will not. The book itself won't be out until later this year.
Oh, okay,
and,
right.
So this will be included in one of the chapters of the book towards the beginning that basically introduces a lot of the concepts that we'll be talking about. And Mitch and I both agreed that since our book is for people that know absolutely nothing about electronics or programming, and it's supposed to be for total beginners, that learning how to solder was an important part of it, because so many of the kits that use microcontrollers require soldering. So that's really where the idea to turn the one-page version into a full comic book came from. So the comic will appear in the book, but we're also using it as kind of a promotional thing. We're giving it out ahead of time. It'll appear in the book eventually. And like I said, the book will be out later this year. We're still working hard on it. And so it'll be, I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's really, the book is supposed to be very accessible, very fun, very good for people that really know absolutely nothing about microcontrollers or electronics or soldering or anything. It's kind of for everybody.
That's great. I have to say, I told my girlfriend about the comic. I was like, I saw it last night, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy I know, Jeff. He made this comic for soldering, and she's like, what? So I think outside the sphere of the whole hobby electronic, it doesn't quite fit. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense from. I was thinking about it just from the audience you're trying to reach too. I'm sure that this is going to be a increasing trend in how you reach younger generations too.
Yeah, and I think it really, to understand the context that this fits into, all you have to do is go to a maker fair or go to one of the big hacker conferences around the world and see where Mitch is actually giving these soldering workshops, and you would be amazed. Mitch has taught people from 8 to 80 how to solder, and really there are people from all ages, all walks of life that come to these workshops, and it turns out that whether they know it or not, people love to solder. People love to build things. And I think the problem is that a lot of people don't think that they can ever do it. They just think it's like art. They can't learn the skills. They don't have the ability. But the truth is that, I mean, if I can do it, I think pretty much anybody can do it.
They can. I've lost count. Ever since I started the blog, I've lost count of the number of people who've asked me to do a soldering tutorial. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's one of those things, and there's not a lot out there that caters to people who have never touched a soldering iron before. And a lot of the books on electronics are very technical, and they assume that somehow you've already learned all this. So it's good to have something that caters to the absolute beginner.
Right. Yeah, we have requests on here too for beginner stuff, and we always apologize to the people, but it's just kind of, how do you really get that mix? So it's really great that you're doing that and Mitch is doing that. So especially at maker fairs too, where it is people can walk up and then there's that assumption that it's like, okay, you're going to be a beginner, and if not, that's okay. You move on to the next thing. But the fact that you start there at like a maker fair or some other event, that's really great.
Yeah, and it's for people that maybe they've soldered 20 years ago, or maybe they've never touched a soldering iron before. And actually, you just reminded me, the Maker Faire Bay Area is coming up in about a month, just a little over a month, on May 21st and 22nd, I think. And I just booked my tickets last night, so I'll actually be at the Bay Area Maker Faire. I didn't think I was going to make it, but then I decided that I couldn't resist, because I'm in Austin now, and Texas is kind of far, but I decided that it was worth making the trip out. So I'll actually be at the soldering area teaching people how to solder on at least one of the days. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's great.
Fantastic. I'd love to do something like that, but yeah, obviously I'm a bit further away.
That's more of a, more involved.
I'm hoping to make it to the New York City Maker Faire this year as well, and I'm really excited about that because I've never been out to that one. I've been to the Bay Area Maker Faire a few times now, but I've never been to the New York City Maker Faire. And there's actually another event. I'm planning to go out to Germany in August for the Chaos Communications Camp, which is just outside of Berlin. It's a weekend, actually more than a weekend. I think it's like 4 or 5 days of basically camping and electronics and software and everything out in a campground in the countryside in Germany. And I went to a similar event in 2009, and it is a huge amount of fun. I can't say enough good things about it. So I'll be helping Mitch do soldering tutorials there as well. So we try to be international. We we try
How
to
do you get
out.
Permission from the wife to do this?
Well, I invite her as well, and she loves it.
That's smart.
Right.
I mean, for her, it's a good opportunity to go to Europe, and she actually enjoys it. She helped out with the event we went to in 2009, which was called Hacking at Random. That was in the Netherlands, and she loves it. I mean, you really...
Well, she's getting a holiday. Of course she loves it.
Yeah. It's a good excuse to go to Berlin, and it's a good excuse to go to Europe. And, it's for her, it's just that's one part of the vacation, whereas for me, I spend months preparing. For her, it's a good vacation. But she's a good sport about it. She lets me drag her to all of these things, and she actually enjoys it a lot.
That's great. Is she a solderer as well?
She is. She has done some soldering. I've done some soldering workshops in our garage before. We've invited friends over, and we've actually had a group of friends all solder, many of which had never soldered before. So I would say she's definitely more than a beginner. She's got a mechanical engineering degree, and she's always been kind of technical, and so she's able to handle that stuff no problem at all.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me, that this Chaos Communications Camp, I saw it because I'm on the Hackerspace mailing list.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's actually how I found out about your book, the comic book, too.
Oh, cool.
And everybody, I suggest getting on that if you're interested. I'll try and post a link to that. But the Chaos Communication Camp, how do people... Are you guys just going to bring generators, or is there actually power there?
It's actually, they put a lot of energy into the infrastructure. And
energy?
No pun intended.
I've got to remember who I'm talking to here. You guys are going to call me on these. I guess there's a committee that basically is responsible. So you bring your own tent, and you're responsible for your own camping supplies. But at each tent, there's within 100 feet, there's a 220 volt, because this is in Europe. You get AC power, and you also get an Ethernet connection. So this is like camping for nerds.
Yeah, and, it is glamping.
What's that?
Glamping.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
Glamping is glamour camping.
So
that's the only one that my better half will do. You know, she'll
Yeah.
I'll go camping, but only if it's got a flushing toilet.
This is a very cool setup because you're in nature and you're in a beautiful place, but you have all the infrastructure. I mean, there's a bar, there's a coffee shop, there's showers. You know, there's all this kind of stuff. Yeah,
That's
so they've
not allowed.
got. Well, you can't go to a hacker conference and not have people bathing. It's not good. that would make it unenjoyable. So yeah, there's actually
stereotype city. All right.
If it's anything like hacking at random, there were these huge like the things that would look like they would have to be loaded onto a semi-trailer kind of generators. So they've got huge power generation capabilities. And what's kind of funny is that, you know, coming from America, we need to travel very light because we're carrying all of our equipment. But the guys that live locally, there's people that bring sofas and desktop computers, and I even saw CRTs. You know, they're the people that can drive there. There's really no limit to what they can bring, and they can consume as much electrical power as they want, basically. And so it's really hard to describe it to someone who's never seen it, but to me, it's the best summer camp that I could ever that I've ever been to in my life. I mean, this sure beats, you know, camp whatever that I went to whenever I was in elementary school. It's just a total different level. And the nice thing is that the European notion of a hacker conference is quite different than it is in other parts of the world, including in America, because it's really open. People will bring their kids, people bring their significant others, and there's kind of something for everybody. It's not just about who can hack the most code or, you know, do something like that, but it's very open. Of course, I'm biased because, you know, I see the hardware hacking stuff and I love that. But hacking at random, we went to a session about how to make beer at home. You know, there's social events that happen too. And
more stereotypes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. I really highly recommend it, and I hope that this year is the biggest ever. Mitch went to the last Chaos Communication Camp, and it changed his life. So I'm really excited about it.
That's great, man. That's really great.
Awesome.
Oh, I should add that the Chaos Communication Camp in 2007 is where the notion of hacker spaces in America started. So it really does have a big place in the history of hacker spaces, at least in the United States.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that before. That's really cool.
Should we move on to a shout-out?
Yes. Thank you, Jeff. That was a very good rundown, man, of the whole scene.
That was great. A 17-minute rundown of the. Well, yeah, I like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it, but I'll shut up now.
We don't have anything like that here. It's sad because we just don't have the people. You know, we don't have the sheer numbers that you guys do in America and Europe, and the population density and all that sort of stuff. So. Yeah,
well, maybe
we've got
you
a hackerspace here, which I will visit now that I've got some free time. I will.
There you go.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, maybe you should just throw a conference and see who shows up, Dave. You'll probably get Mitch at least, right? I mean, Mitch is flying around the whole
Mitch
the world,
can fly
right?
Anywhere by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's great. So, what's the shout out, Dave? What do we got?
Oh, me.
You?
Me.
Oh, you're going to jump to you?
The bloody oath. There's an Australian term for you. Shout out. I'm going to give myself a shout out, damn it, because I can. And it's my radio show. I've entered the Tektronix contest.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yes.
I saw the
vote
entry.
for me, please. And you can vote
that's not a
once
shout
per
out.
day.
That's a begging
IP
for
address.
votes.
So,
Dave, can you remind me what the contest is? That means I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, Tektronix are running a contest. You upload a video from 1 to 5 minutes, of using a Tektronix scope in some way, shape, or form, and you can win a whole bunch of stuff. So, yep, I want to win.
Cool.
Now that I'm a poor, unemployed video blogger.
What's your video about?
My video is about the piezo electric effect in oscilloscope probes.
I have seen your EEV blog episode about that. Very interesting.
So it's a 5-minute cut down version of that.
Cool. Yep. Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good video. I liked that when you wrapped it with the alfoil, as you called it. The
alfoil. Yep, that's it. So what? It's aluminum over there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
not aluminium.
Aluminum foil. Yes. Yeah. It's aluminium foil here. Shortened to alfoil because aluminium's a hell of a word.
Sure it is. Yeah, I like that though, because then you could even still see the signal after that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you certainly could. So yes, the piezoelectric effect in probes, and when you rotated it, you have to have the right orientation, and yeah, it's cool. And there's and it's not just in their probes as well; it's in virtually every probe out there. So have a go, play some drums with your oscilloscope probes and see what you can get out of
probes.
It. Right? If you're dumb enough to hit the ends of them and break off your tip, well, yeah, no responsibility taken.
Isn't this like old vacuum tube amplifiers have microphonics, right? So
yes,
you bang
it's
on
microphonics.
Them.
Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's
and so microphonics are when you have vibrationals. So just so people know if they don't know what that is.
Well, microphonics is I think technically different because the piezoelectric is a technically different effect, but it's basically comes down to the same thing.
Right, microphonics are usually from the actual material moving back and forth and that generating electrons. Is that right?
Well, that might be the triboelectric effect, which you get in cables. No, I think it's because valves have they've actually got little metal elements in there, and they physically shake, and they've got vibrational modes and all that sort of stuff. But
fancy.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
quartz crystals will do this too, right? Quartz crystals, if you bang on them,
they can. Yes, they will certainly do that. I think I've even done a blog on that, possibly, or I've mentioned it in a blog. Quartz crystal stability and stuff. Yeah.
If you take a hammer to your quartz crystal on.
You don't need a hammer. You can just
no. Just a little small bit of shock and vibration. Yeah, I have a fair bit of experience in that area, which have very many interesting stories to tell about testing the shock and vibration responsive quartz oscillators. So,
and now you're allowed to talk about all your former workplaces.
I don't think that's how that works.
Yes, I'm allowed to say anything I damn well like, and yeah. Oh boy, it's good fun.
Yes.
Nobody had any Altium questions. I did ask for Altium questions, and nobody sent me any emails. So, I'm not going to talk about Altium. Fine.
Good riddance. That's the answer there.
I have a copy of Altium Designer on my PC that I'm supposed to be evaluating this month, and I've had zero time. But what I will tell you is that if you ever sign up for an evaluation of Altium Designer, you will get calls every day asking you, do you want to buy it? Do you want to buy it? Are you ready to buy it?
And you should go, well, I was, if you didn't move to China.
That's right, yeah. So maybe I can
They are persistent, yep.
Yeah, they really are. But
anyway, yes, that's my shout-out. Please vote for me in the Tektronix contest because I'm currently lagging behind.
Are you?
Grossly behind, yes. And I need to win.
Yes. Now that Dave's taking...
Poor unemployed full-time video blogger. Yep.
Yeah. All right, how about another shout-out? We got Henrik. HS Palm. Heinrich?
I'm sure it's Heinrich.
Heinrich, sorry. Well, he actually wrote in about his site. We've linked to him before on Workbench of the Week, but he put together a list of all the DIY stores out there, and he's in Norway, but he put together a list of all the ones that will ship to him, and I think he said he just put a single LED in the cart, and he just wanted to see cost.
Right.
So just kind of how international friendly they are.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a good idea. I mean, it's a nice sortable table and everything. Your mileage will vary because it is Norway, but it's interesting just to see who's set up for it and who isn't.
That is a great idea. I really like this, and I actually compiled a list of suppliers for the book that Mitch and I are working on, and it was a pretty big effort because everybody's got their own favorite suppliers, and some suppliers will ship internationally and some won't, and it's really, in the olden days you didn't worry about that. You just were concentrating, where can I get parts where I live? But if you're trying to cater to an international audience, it is really challenging.
Hey, you want to know what I hate? I've got a rant on that.
Okay.
I've got a rant on everything.
Yeah, you do.
I hate those companies who they won't tell you if they ship internationally. You've got to go through the entire, put your things in the shopping cart, go through the entire sign-up process. Sometimes you've got to wait for a confirmation and all sorts of rubbish, you know, and then they will tell you, oops, sorry, we don't ship outside the US. Well, piss off.
And now we get your email, bitch.
Man, it's just really annoying. I mean, how hard is it to put, just a thing on the website that says we only ship to the US? Come on.
Right.
But, it's almost as bad, though, are places that ship internationally, but they charge exorbitant shipping charges.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you will if I give you, $50 to ship this
and ship
LED.
it via courier. We don't ship via regular post. We'll only ship.
That's why a list
FedEx.
like this is really helpful to have recommended suppliers. And I'd like to see this grow into something where you can select your country, and it'll give you the rates regardless of where you are. So, this is begging for like a wiki or something.
I agree.
Where people
That's what I was
can
going to say.
contribute. Because this would be a big responsibility for Heinrich to do himself. But I love this. This is great.
Yeah, and I think the other nice thing about it, too, is that if you get some good community buy-in and you have people updating it, that also pushes, the DigiKeys, who charge 32.5 American dollars, little name and shame there, to ship to Norway, right? Whereas the Adafruits of the world charge $6. Like, that's a big difference right there.
That's
and
a huge
especially
difference.
in size of companies. So it's not like it's a possibility thing. It's just...
Although you've got to understand, I don't blame them, really, the DigiKeys and the Mount. They are huge corporations, and they've got very streamlined processes. The amount of, in their defense, I think, is that... they can't afford to have somebody go down to the post office, stand in line, and ship something via regular post.
I don't think the small ones can do that either, though. I mean, Sparkfront, Adafruit, all those guys are. But even if you send it slow, slow as hell.
It's a different philosophy, because I think that some of these companies that are on the list, they were established before we were really part of an international community. And I think that some of the younger companies like Adafruit and SparkFun, they realized early on that a lot of, a reasonable percentage of their orders are going to go overseas. And I can say I sell kits, and I don't sell a lot of kits, but I would say more than half of my orders go overseas.
Oh.
I'd say about 90% of mine go overseas. And quite frankly, it's a pain in the ass, because I have to fill out a customs form for each and every single item.
It is. It is.
And it's just,
Yeah, but
annoying.
if you aren't willing to ship internationally, you're cutting out on a lot of your potential audience, because electronics is an international business and a hobby, and nowadays, access to information doesn't care where you are. So it's just how do you get the physical parts. So again, I think thumbs up for Heinrich and his list. This is a really, really great idea. I'd like to see this extended so that I can select United States, or I can see what people in other countries have as far as their options.
Yeah, and like last updated too, because I'm guessing a lot of them do change, and that should be allowed for. So, yeah. Great job, though.
I've got another rant, too, if I may.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
People
another one in the chamber.
I never overcharge on postage. I charge at cost, right?
Yeah,
I've been doing that for 20 years. I've been selling kits, right? I charge it at cost, and I make my margin on the kit. But you still get people complaining, it's $12 to ship it overseas. Well, freaking hell. It's at cost, and I've got to stand in line, go to the post office and stand in line. I'm not charging you for that, so shut the hell up,
And now he's got a lot of time to do it, too, so...
And it's Americans usually,
Oh well,
because Americans don't think anything outside their country exists, and
that's right.
They don't understand that there's an opposite side of the planet.
And you also
takes time to get there.
Your customers have to keep in mind the economy of scale too. If you're a small-time supplier, you don't get the same bulk discounts that a big operation does as far as shipping goes.
That's
and like you said, you're actually physically going to the post office and you're waiting in line and you're filling out customs forms. And people have to understand that you are not Farnell. You can't get the same rates with the postal service. So
speaking of kit business, as soon as I finish this show, I'm going to go out and work on my new kit, which hopefully will be released soon. That's what I'm hoping. And the thing is, right, when I can't afford to go out and actually produce 1,000 of them or 5,000 or something like that. That's a huge amount of money up front.
Yeah,
I've got to go out and produce 50 or 100, right? Just to recoup, my costs and lower my risk and all that sort of stuff. So, that increases the price, as you said, Jeff. It increases it substantially.
What if you get some kind of sweet marketing video though, and you pre-sell everything? Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I don't like it. That's my other rule of business, is that, 1, I charge at cost for postage, and 2, I do not take pre-orders. If I don't take pre-orders, I don't take people's money if I don't have stock. End of story.
That's and I completely agree, and I also have the same policies. Yeah, it doesn't. It's too risky, and I like to be very upfront with everything. Just don't. No tricky business. You're going to get burned in the end if you try to do that stuff.
Yeah. And Jeff, because, and it ties you in. Like, if I go and take people's, if I've got $10,000 of people's money, then I've got to, and they're emailing me every day, where's my kit, where's my kit, then you've got to get off your ass and actually produce it. And, well, I don't like that. I don't need that pressure in my life,
They've just got rid of that pressure.
Yeah. Exactly. So I just don't need it. And, why you would put that on yourself is, it's just silly. I simply, you cannot order from my shop if there's no stock. Simple.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that works for me. So. Oh, somebody on, I think probably Twitter, challenged me to go a whole show without saying,
Oh, you just did. I saw
that. Got to do it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of some of these big distributor folk, what about this new DigiKey site? Do you see this? Another.
Oh yes,
another
they've got
one.
Yep. Do tell. It's a clone of Element 14.
It looks exactly
uses the same engine, right?
Yeah. Well, and National Instruments uses that same engine. I don't know what it is underneath. It's all the same. It's whoever is selling this stuff. Kudos, you are making mega commissions.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously,
it's just the same. It's the same shit, different smell. I mean, it's just.
I don't know. They probably have fewer people right now, but I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know about the relative sizes. DigiKey is $1 billion business, but I don't know.
Oh yeah.
How much people want to join up to their forums? It would be a. You think they're starting off with a bigger base than Farnell and Element 14 might be, but I don't know.
It's a real challenge.
5 different categories, and I can just see them sitting around and deciding these categories by committee. They've got the lighting community, the microcontroller community, the power community, the sensors community, and the wireless community.
Yeah. Well,
unbelievable.
We've talked about this before. Good luck, DigiKey. We hope it takes off, but I really hate this format so much. Ugh.
What is it about it that you hate?
Everything. I hate that it's like a crappy version. It's
hard to say, isn't it?
It's a crappy version of like a PHP BB, like a bulletin board. It's like a
not.
crappy.
I've seen much worse. Yeah.
Have you tried to use Element 14, Jeff?
No comment. No.
Right.
No,
okay. There you go.
I haven't. I have to say I love my suppliers. I like that they get me stuff really cheap and they get it to me fast. But I am really hesitant to jump onto the community sites that are vendor specific because I feel like it restricts a lot of the possibilities there. And besides, I've already got forums that I can go to. I don't need more forums in my life. That's definitely one thing.
Yeah,
I don't need more places.
That's true.
Yeah. So
there are a lot of forums around, even including mine. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there's so low transaction costs to actually get these things set up. Like.
Zero.
There's
it doesn't
like
cost anything.
one click installs. I could have a forum tomorrow. I'm not going to do it because, well, no one would go to mine. But aside from that,
that's why we deliberately didn't do an amp hour forum.
Yeah, that's
we already
exactly
had the EV blog forum, and people were on there. And
there's so many other places. There's Stack Exchange. There's Jeff's site. There's your site. There's I don't know.
So actually, what's kind of interesting is that on their forum they actually have what are essentially applications engineers that are answering questions. And I do have to give them some credit. That actually, it requires some manpower from them. So at least DigiKey is contributing back to the forum. Does Element 14 do that? Do they have engineers that work for...
They do, yes.
Oh, they do?
And
okay.
and they do responses. But another thing about DigiKey, which I'll give them credit for, you go to their YouTube channel, they've got 600 plus videos on there, and some of them are pretty decent content. They put a lot of effort into them, so kudos for that. Really, that's a lot of content. I don't think not many people watch them, of course, as with all these big corporate YouTube channels. But like they've done their own projects, and you can, there's somebody on there explaining the project and showing it off, and then you can go to their website and you can download all the schematic and all the details and the bill of materials from DigiKey, of course.
Right.
And
it's just like they're all trying to wall their garden in. That's the problem. That's always the problem. The same with Element 14, same with DigiKey. They're all saying, come to my site, because they can't justify higher up to say, oh, well, we can't start an external site. They have to have it all internal, right? That's what the problem is, I think.
Yeah.
And so, like, when Jerry makes a video for Element 14, they keep it on their site for a week because they need to show some kind of payback. And it's like, I understand the problem from like a business perspective. You have to show that you're spending your money well. That makes sense. But man, something else has to happen. Something else has to give there. So
why can't they actually step out and go, look, we will pay to set up this new forum, but it will be community run, and it will be, it'll be sponsored by us, but that's
Isn't that
it'll be community.
Isn't that what AVR Freaks is?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Actually,
I think AVR Freaks is definitely sponsored or run by Atmel, but it is. My impression is that it is community run. Like the day-to-day activities are community run, but the actual website is paid for by Atmel. I could be totally wrong, but I think that's how that.
I don't think it is, because I've looked at their advertising stuff. They actually get. If it was run and paid for by AVR Freaks, they wouldn't need advertising. Don't quote me on this, but I think I've looked at their advertising rates to see how much they charge. So they must be getting funding from somewhere else. A good
example of that might be like Beagleboard, right? Like that's TI, that's an external, but it's external from TI. So you talk to like Jason Kreidner about that, and he's very adamant that no, it's external from TI, but it's still tied to TI, right?
Well, it's designed by the guys who work for TI.
It's basically an eval. It's an eval board.
Yeah,
right.
But it has a community around it, which I think TI was one of the first to really make a big deal about that.
Yeah, and I think they do it pretty well. I mean, to be honest, and their stuff is. I mean, it's not like I think it's like a Drupal backend or something like that. It's nothing fancy, but it's just a place to. I don't know. It's not trying to be everything though. It's not like you go there and you're like, oh, TI, like every TI part. That's like the TI E to E forums. Those things are crap too. Instead, it's very focused. It's on Beagleboard. It's just Beagleboard. It's not trying to be, come here for everything. We'll have experts on everything. It's like, no, I don't want to go there. I'll go there I'll go to Beagleboard when I need help on a Beagleboard. There's no op-amp forums, but if there were, I'd go to an op-amp forum, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. So,
absolutely. Now, I was correct on I just checked, the AVR Freaks website. They've got an advertising panel, and they're encouraging people to advertise, and they've got their advertising rates. I don't see any AVR ads, so I really can't see how AVR would approve of...
You mean Atmel?
Sorry, Atmel.
Yeah.
Atmel would actually approve of... it looks like a classically run independent website that's trying to get advertising to pay for it. So, they've got their advertising rates there, and they've got some ads on the side from, SmileyMicros.com. Great name, okay. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think they're getting money from Atmel. But if you go to the Atmel people, they will always point you to AVR Freaks. In fact, this is one of the things I don't like about it. Atmel won't actually help you much. They'll just say, go to AVR Freaks.
Oh, really?
All your answers are on there. Everything's on there. And their reps as well. The reps will say, but we've got AVR Freaks. It's the ultimate source of everything, Insert hallelujah music, so they do tend to fob everything and everyone off to AVR Freaks. Anyway, that's just a little rant. Sorry.
Mini rant. Over.
I just wanted to point that out. I didn't really have a point. I just wanted to say.
Okay, Dave, I just looked up the domain information and avrfreaks.com. The administrative contact is @Mel Corporation.
Oh, it's avrfreaks.net.
Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
What, do they just, like, point to the other one? Like, oh, yeah, we own
Maybe.
@Mel Corporation. So avrfreaks.net.
They own the domain.
The registrant is @Mel Corporation in San Jose, California. So yeah, I can't remember.
And they're taking small time advertising.
I can't remember where I read that it is controlled or owned by @Mel, but I definitely have seen something to that effect. Maybe somebody listening can comment on that, but I can't.
Wow.
If I Googled around frantically while you were talking, and I couldn't find anything that specifically said it, but I think this pretty much proves that there's a strong connection.
Very interesting. Okay, well, I'm impressed in that case that they're allowing third-party, tiny advertising and stuff like that.
Well, yeah. And at the very least, it seems
they fooled me. They completely
it seems independent, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if that really matters, but
it's possible that they created it and they are trying to make it self-sufficient. They may be trying to keep it its own separate entity, which actually, if that's the case, then kudos to @Mel, because they're doing exactly what we want. They're creating a community, but they don't have their hands in everything. They're actually letting it grow on its own. And so, yeah, I think AVR Freaks is a good example of the right way, and it's actually successful because it feels genuine. It doesn't feel like advertising, right? It doesn't feel like it's created for the sole purpose of driving clicks to @Mel. So yeah,
right.
Thumbs up.
There is not a single
statement.
@Mel ad on there. There's not a single link to @Mel.
I like how Jeff said that too. It's like it's not created to create links back. It's created as a helpful thing for the customer. That's the key, right? And if I believe that these other forums are doing that, then good for them, right? But
and SparkFun kind of has that figured out too, because SparkFun has forums, and I'm not active on them, but I have used them to get information before, and I think that they realize that if you can build a community around your products, but it doesn't feel like advertising, then I think it can work pretty well. So I'm sure that's what DigiKey and Element 14, that's what they're trying to do, but maybe they need to be more subtle about it.
Well, and make that the express purpose, this is here to help you. We want nothing more than to help you. That's the key. And if you do that, I'm going to come back and I'm going to use your service. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'll buy from them, because in the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if I buy from Element 14 or Mauser or DigiKey or anyone else. It comes down to shipping, price, and if you're helpful to me.
And who sucks the least, and who pisses me off the least, right?
Yeah, that's another way to say it.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
Yeah, that's
if you're spamming me with ads and pop-ups when I visit your site, or you're doing, just bugger off.
Yeah, like Mauser. Oh, those guys. They've been on EDN. They're I know their app is supposed to be really great. Like they have a new
what's wrong
smartphone
with Mauser?
App.
What's wrong?
No, there's
with
nothing
Mauser?
wrong with them, but they have this ad on EDN every time I go there. There's this ad on the bottom that pops up and it won't leave me alone. It's one of those. It's just this horrible technology that just keeps chasing me aroround the screen. It's like, guys, 1998 is over.
Paperclip, right? The Microsoft paperclip.
Yeah. Anything else other than that? I don't know.
I love it.
Oh boy. Jeff, coming on the show, it's just...
I'm partial to Mauser because they are overnight shipping, even if you pay for ground. They're located up near Dallas, and so
there you go.
Anything I order from there, I have the next day, even if I pay the cheapest shipping option. So
that's sweet.
That means a lot. That in the end, it's like you're right. You're saying it's shipping, it's availability, it's price, and you choose. And I think if the suppliers realize that if they created a community and people shopped around, it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as they can remain competitive. You're creating a community that I think goes beyond just trying to drive clicks to your website. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, they must know that from the metrics too. Like, if you get 1,000 people to click on a video, like say Jerry makes Element 14 a video, only so many of them are buying. If people aren't going there to already buy stuff, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, well, now that I'm here, I'll buy some parts.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I do wonder sometimes how how exactly. Yeah, it must be very hard for them to justify that to the managers that look at the numbers for these sites. But I do like whenever they actually create original content like that, and they give you something to do on the site.
I mean, the fact that they sponsor it, that alone makes me say it. If they just put it up on YouTube right from the start and just said, "Oh well, we sponsor this video. Why not check us out? Get your name in front of me." That's great. I'm gonna think about you when I'm buying parts. But just making me click over to your video on your site, I'm going to probably resent you and just watch the video and leave, to be honest. So all these free tips for all these companies, oh man, we got to start charging for this stuff.
I know.
Maybe we should create a community around our website where we can give information to suppliers or advice to suppliers.
There you go.
How to market themselves.
There you go. Who knows? There's a model in there somewhere. But we should probably talk about electronics at some point, right?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, probably.
So
what have we got?
One thing I definitely wanted to bring up. I was out at a conference a little while ago, and I got to hear one of the most impressive talks I've ever heard of. And it was a guy that converted a bunch of stuff to EV, so electric vehicles rather. And so he did it all himself. And I'll share the site here, but he converted a BMW 325i all by himself. He made not everything from scratch, but he pieced the whole thing together, and he does conversions now as a job, and he has like a build log of the whole thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen that?
I've got a friend who built her own EV. Yeah.
Oh, really?
She
from
converted
like the ground up?
She converted a little, I don't know, one of those little compact cars into an EV because she hates oil and she hates the oil companies. And she went, this is like 10 plus years. This is like 10 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah?
This is everyone's converting their car to EV now. It's trivial. So this guy that you're talking about, well, he's just one of zillions of build logs. It was in Silicon. There was an article in Silicon Chip 6 months ago about on the front cover of someone, converted a Ute, which is a truck in America, into an EV or something like that. And, so every man and his dog's doing it. But she did it like 10 years ago or something.
Oh,
when
wow.
it was, really, way out there and nobody had a clue how to do it and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing that was impressive about it is that I've seen conversions like that too, but they're usually like batteries filling the whole car.
Yes, they are.
Basically.
Yeah, I've seen these as well. Yeah.
And he fit it just in the front of the car. I know nothing about cars. He put it in the front of the car and then underneath.
In the engine area?
Yes, thank you. God.
Right. As opposed to the boot,
right.
which is a trunk
I was
in America.
thinking about boot, and then I got all messed up. I knew Dave was going to correct me on that.
Isn't it the bonnet is the front, right?
Bonnet, yep.
Isn't that the front?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he put it all up there, and just like hearing about the... there's a lot of arguments for it, too.
That would be very front-heavy, though. My friend actually load balanced the batteries, put some in the front, some in the middle, sort of load balance it out.
Well,
if you
it
whack them
depends,
all
though.
under the
If
engine
he's
compartment.
using lithium polymer or some fancy battery chemistry, which it sounds like he must be, right? Because he's not filling the car with batteries, which was the old way to do it.
Right, exactly. So these are all the A123
that's
lithium
very nice.
ions. Yeah.
So do you have any idea what the economics of this are?
I do, and that was actually one of the most impressive things about it. So he was saying that... Oh, crap. I didn't bring the presentation up. But he was saying, though, that basically there was two things economically that were quite impressive. The first was the cost per gallon, the effective cost per gallon, and it was somewhere around a sixth. So that was just electricity cost, and I think he even factored in like a estimated road tax if they did that per mile. So that's another big thing because at least in the U.S. they charge a lot of taxes on gasoline to take care of roads, right?
But clearly he's not factoring the cost of the conversion into this, right?
That's true, right?
Or the maintenance, because the batteries wear out and they have to be replaced, and it's a huge cost.
No, that's another thing. So, he said he's 9,000 miles in, and they're at 100% health. So he's actually got all these charging methods that...
Yeah, but they fail pretty quick.
No. The old ones failed really quick. These are, like, if you stay within the right window, so, like, if you stay within, like, 30 to 80% charging, so not completely charged and not completely drained,
right,
the health of the batteries is extended for years, like, lots and lots of years.
Yeah,
and so,
but you've got to think about it. are you willing to not drive your car whenever the battery level gets below 30%?
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing, and that's another reason I was so impressed with this. His name's Bob Simpson, and the site's called evdrive.com. He's developing a range extender. It's a 2-stroke motor, and it actually attaches right to the drive shaft, and it can just pick up right where. And a lot of cars are doing this now. It'll pick up right where when you get to the 30% charge, it just starts right in, and you can use natural gas or any other kind of fuel basically. And
it's a 2-stroke motor?
It's a 2-stroke. It's like a 98% efficient 2-stroke.
I thought that the emissions restrictions had pretty much killed the 2-stroke in America, at least.
Yeah.
So he's doing some sexy stuff to maintain emissions, I'm sure, because...
Yeah. Maybe he just doesn't care.
No, he does. No, he does. That's like his big thing.
It's environment be damned. I just want an electric car.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it looks pretty sleek, too. I mean, it is a BMW, but... it's awesome. Just the whole thing about it.
I think this is great because, like Dave was saying, 10, 15 years ago, I also had a friend who was working on some electric conversions. There were a bunch of them that were done on the West Coast in the United States, and they were all filled with batteries. They got 30-mile range. They cost a bunch of money, and they were, not very practical. They were basically like glorified golf carts, right? Because you could use them to get to your job in town, but you had to charge them overnight every night. And to have, if a conversion kit was available that actually used the latest battery technology and had some hybrid options, that'd be fun. You could definitely see, especially people that have older cars that are looking to, turn their classic cars into something that's economical and reliable. It's kind of an interesting option. I'll actually check out his site because I'm interested to see what this looks like. But that's been the thing for the DIY electric car conversions. I think has been the battery technology has been a big limitation.
Yeah,
I think you'll find
it still is.
It is, because I think you'll find that it hasn't actually improved as much as you might think. They only got 30 miles before, but now they're only getting 60 or 90. But, you might have doubled it, right, or even tripled it. But it's still not that great. So, if you want a truly practical car as a fuel car is, then you need that hybrid kind of thing.
Right.
They are still fairly limited. Battery technology is not magical. It's not going to suddenly give you a 500-mile range like you can get on a tank of petrol or gas.
Right. And the reason for that, too, and I was talking to a aerospace engineer about that, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on here before, and one thing I never realized about that is just the energy density. If you think about a gallon of gasoline, that has
it's massive.
It's something like 32 kilowatt hours, the effective energy density, if you convert it to electricity. And that's ridiculous. To get a full tank of gas,
batteries aren't even close.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's always about that. That's always going to be the limiting factor until we figure something else out.
We need Mr. Fusion.
We do mean
Mr. Fusion, absolutely.
If you will remember your history, Jeff, Mr. Fusion only powered the flux capacitor.
The internal combustion engine.
I'm very
How did you jump on that? How did you jump on that?
Because I think the movie's wrong there. It's generating power. You could surely, Mr. Fusion would generate a constant energy source, not a peak energy source required for the flux capacitor. Clearly. Come on, people, get serious here.
Come on.
Right?
Dave has done extensive analysis.
In the future, in the BTTF future, you can buy Mr. Fusion, and surely it would not provide peak energy. It would be designed. It'd have because it's American. It'd have a 110 outlet.
Yeah. There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the movie's flawed there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's another thing that we've showed before, I think, on here with DeLorean conversion. Wasn't that one of the ones? Didn't we show that on here once?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, so
I would love to have an electric car. I would just love to do it. It's just a matter of cost, really.
Yeah,
it's not cheap to do.
I think it started getting up in the many... it was a very high-end car eventually, but he's developing this stuff, too. He's developing technology as he goes. So that's another thing to keep in mind here. So... he's working on...
Isn't the Tesla Motor Company working on a low-priced car?
I don't know.
I heard something about that, I think, so...
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that ever happens, I guess.
Anyway.
Yeah, because
you want to know what I hate? Here we go. Now that we're on the topic, I've got a rant.
What do you hate,
These
Dave?
hybrid cars, right? The Toyota Prius, right?
Okay.
I hate the Toyota Prius.
Oh.
It is bullshit, okay? Why didn't they make it a plug-in rechargeable? The only difference between a regular Toyota Prius, which you can't plug into the power point, and one that you can, is a little black box, right? That converts to 240 and monitors and charges the battery. And yet, Toyota, this was a couple of years back when everyone was talking, now we want plug-in hybrids. Toyota said, it'll take us at least 5 to 10 years to develop that before it will be viable. Bullshit. You can go out and buy a third-party aftermarket kit for your Toyota Prius. You've been able to buy it for ages. That converts it into a plug-in rechargeable.
So you just don't like that you have to.
No, I don't
go
like that.
aftermarket?
It's not, why you would develop a hybrid car and not have with batteries and not have the capability to recharge it from a power point is insane.
Well, do you know
why? I will believe the big conspiracy theories here that it's the big oil companies driving it, right? Because they just want to wean.
And
Dave they know
does
the
love
end is near for petrol.
the big conspiracy
yes, I'm
theories.
ranting. You're not going to shut me up. I do. I love them. And well, no, because I've worked in oil. You see, I spent more than a decade working in the oil industry. So you know, and it's bullshit that they can't do it. Toyota are lying that they can't develop a plug-in, a Prius. It's just bullshit. So, there are reasons why they did not they actually crippled their first Prius and did not make it plug-in, a plug-in, what's the word? Yeah.
Hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid,
Yeah.
So, anyway, that really bugs me.
It does. I mean, like, you'd think just from an electronics standpoint, but...
Yeah, because it's nothing. It's just a black box. That's it. It's one extra box and an outlet, and a plug on the side of the car that lets you plug it in. I mean, it's...
Another interesting...
so I hate them for that.
Another interesting concept that I heard about this talk was the whole vehicle-to-grid thing. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Vehicle-to-grid thing.
Yeah, basically using unused cars as a load balancing...
Oh, right, in
garages.
Yep.
Which was I'd never heard of that before.
It's horribly inefficient. I believe. Anyway.
Well, I mean, it'd be the efficiency of the inverter, right? Inverters and...
and the conversion and the batteries and the outgas, and then you've got to replay and the wear and tear on the batteries and everything else. It's just, it's not a very
right. And there's actually an article from Don Toot. I'm not sure. He's from electronic design, but he actually has an article about that, about the conversion stuff, and he doesn't seem to buy it either. But
right, okay, good. Well, I'm not alone.
Yeah, but the guy I heard talking about it, I probably would have believed that aliens helped him build his car. I was so enthralled by it.
Yeah, you were so caught up in the rapture of it.
I was a bit starry-eyed. I'll be honest about it, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Whatever happens.
Chris Gammel's easily impressed because he fell for that Obama.
Whatever.
Replaced all his cabinet with engineers.
Oh yeah, the April Fool's joke. Yeah.
You were so, yes, that's what I want. Yes, I'll believe that.
I am very gullible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't fall for your stuff though, Dave. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah. 555, whatever.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just...
Although I bet you would have if I was able to rope in Hans to admit that he actually added it.
If you would have done that, yes, I would have believed it. I
I
agree.
should have done that.
You should have.
Even though you know that the process technology wouldn't actually allow that.
I know.
It's just, it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
Or Hans is some magician,
Right. So far ahead of his time that he...
So I have to admit that I haven't seen the video, and I have to say that it's because I pretty much turn off the internet on April 1st.
Right.
I just can't. Yeah. It drives me absolutely crazy because it's like, it's April 1st, everyone's got to do their little thing, and I'm sure that Dave, yours was clever, and I'll have to watch it now that it's not April 1st anymore. But after like the third or the fourth, you're like, why do people do this every year? It's like it never gets old.
It's a great tradition.
Yeah, it is. And I had... you always get someone complain, it wasn't April 1st when I watched it, you uploaded it too early. Well, There's this, the Earth, it's like a globe, and it spins around, and there are different time zones, and I did upload it 3 hours past UTC, so, technically stick it up your ass. Thank you.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Boy. You fooled me because you uploaded it on March 31st.
Nope, they were taken in first.
Oh, dearity. Anyway.
Yeah. So, with regard to
we've got a couple of minutes left.
We do?
We do.
No, well, maybe one or
Is
two.
anyone keeping track? I don't know.
Yes, we're up to 59 minutes recording.
All right. Well, what else we got on here?
Oh, I'm putting some new lighting in the lab at the moment, but I thought I'd go LED. I said 12 months ago, I'd go LED, but I haven't. It's just too expensive and too hard. I've gone with regular CFL fluoros again, and
CFL.
Yeah. Well, no, not CFL, but the not the compact ones, but the tube fluoros. But they do
T8
have the
or T12 or whatever they are.
Yeah, the T5. I've gone with T5 and T8. Yep.
Okay.
So,
speaking of high-powered,
but they don't have the old-fashioned ballast. They have the new electronic ballast.
Okay.
Which helps with the flicker and everything else, and the startup and all that.
That's good.
Yeah. So, you just still can't beat fluorescent $4 per watt.
Right.
It's when you need a lot of light. And when you're filming, people don't know that you need a hell of a lot of light.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty incredible how much light you need for any kind of video or photography. You need just hundreds of watts to get anything decent. Yeah, it is
lumens is a better measure, right, Jeff?
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Lumens per watt.
Right.
Yeah, but in my tiny 2.5 by 2.5 meter lab, I have two 36 watt three 36 watt fluoro tubes plus three 13 watt fluoro tubes.
Right.
Right, and to get the equivalent amount of that light in LEDs, it would cost, $500 to $1,000.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of money.
But not only that, but after a few thousand hours, the light output goes down dramatically for a lot of the LEDs that are on the market right now. Right, that's one of the big problems.
If they're overdriving them in terms of temp,
and I'm sure they are. If they're trying to get the cost.
If they're conservatively designed, then no, they won't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of, especially if you buy the cheap ones, they do overdrive them and they last, hundreds of hours before they start.
Right, and that's all based on heat,
themselves.
right? Just getting heat out, and they can't do it, so
it's getting the heat out. Heat is number one.
Starts to migrate all the fancy little deposits in there.
It does all sorts of weird semiconductor physics stuff.
Hey, so as one last WTF, I wanted to mention this. There was, and it's light related. It's light related. You know how, Dave, you hate that the U.S. loves guns?
Yep.
Well, they listened, and there's laser beams now, Dave.
I saw that you spelt laser with a Z. You bloody yank.
What? That was a joke. Frickin' laser beams, man.
So if you're joking, you can use a Z and
laser.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're naming
Laser
yourself,
maybe
if that's your nickname, you can use a Z. Yeah. But
the U.S. bloody military.
The Navy, they blew
the
up
U.S.
a boat with a
military
laser.
machine now has laser beams on their boats.
Lasers. Frickin' laser beams.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right?
I saw that. It's pretty cool.
It's kind of scary, I gotta say.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Star Wars-esque.
The amount of power they need for that is massive. Yeah. I watched a video of this. I think it was when this weapon was being actually developed. They test fired it on the range or something. And the amount of, the huge capacitor banks they've got to have to store the energy for this thing is just phenomenal. It's just amazing.
That's where
cooling the thing.
That's where
and all
sci-fi
that
is kind of lacking, huh? Those guns aren't too big in sci-fi movies, but
they're also it's an invisible laser, right? Which in sci-fi doesn't make good television, right? You at least need a visible laser. You can't have this infrared stuff.
And it goes out as a pulse. It's just one pulse, and you'll see the pulse just travel. You'll see the little packet of
it's got a start and an ending point.
Was it invisible? Because there's a video on this site. I'll link the site, but there was a video, and it looked like there was a red dot. Maybe they just added it in video.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, well, no, there's a red dot once it touches the surface, but a lot of lasers you can't see going through the air. If you've got really clean air, you can't see it. You actually rely... Those green laser pointers that they use to...
Yeah.
Green is better for this because it diffracts better off the particles or something.
Well,
but you've got to have...
Your eye is most sensitive to green light.
And your eye is most sensitive to green, but I think it... anyway, you've got to have... you've got to have particles in the air. You've got to have smoke, pollution, something like that, to see the beam. Otherwise, you just won't see it. There's nothing for it to refract from. I don't know my optics.
I don't either.
What the correct term there is. But, you need particles in the air to actually see it. So everyone goes, oh, look at the shiny laser in the sky. Well, what you're looking at is pollution, people.
Bouncing off everything.
It's like a gorgeous sunset. Everyone sees a gorgeous sunset. Oh, isn't it wonderful? Well, that's pollution causing that gorgeous
beautiful
sunset.
Pollution, Dave. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So, anyway. Frickin' laser beams, huh?
Frickin' laser beams.
Frickin' Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Yep. Just blow shit up. That's all you want to do.
All right, in this case, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool, I'll admit.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah. Granted.
All right, I think
our amp hour's up.
I think so, too. So people should leave comments. We always love that. Suggestion page is always sitting there.
Vote for my project on the Tectonics
Dave.
contest.
Send us tweets.
Yep.
Jeff is at MightyOhm. And people probably know ours.
Yep.
MightyOhm.com.
Yes, MightyOhm.
And definitely go to Jeff's site to crash the server and check out the new comic.
No, please don't crash the server.
Oh, no. It'll happen.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the show. It's always fun, and I enjoyed actually. This is a unique experience to have both of you guys be on the other end of the line, and it's been twice the fun.
There you go.
3 times the fun.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Chris. See ya.
Yep, thanks, guys. Bye.